Welcome back to another episode of the Buffalo Happy Hour. Mike, what's going on?
Derek, we got new stands.
We sure did.
So our audience is going to be juiced up over that. However, we are in a brand new establishment in Elmwood. So let's start with introductions for kind of round two with you, but a little different. It's been a minute, man.
It has. The stands are great. They're huge.
I know.
A little intimidating, actually.
Every time that we used to have interviews, we had smaller stands, and then when we put the mics on them, people would move them, the stands would tip over. So we're like, we need something weighted. Sure. And we bought these and didn't really know what we were going to get.
What else is new? Did you ever buy something for your house and not measure for it, and then it arrives and you're like, well, now I have to live with this?
Measure?
I know he doesn't, but sometimes I do, yeah.
For this place, I'll measure for my house.
Yeah, it's
like trying stuff on at the store.
Yeah.
They still make stores?
Yeah.
They do. Yeah.
If it doesn't fit, we'll find a spot for it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Just cut it.
So what's going on, man? Who are you for the people who are new?
Oh, that's right. Hi. My name is Corey Moscato. I am partner and operations manager here at the Beer Keep Bar and Shop, located at sunny 1002 Elmwood Avenue in Buffalo, New York, in the heart of Elmwood Village.
Yeah, you guys we were rolling up, and I was like, okay, I see the address on Elmwood, but it's a super long street, so where are we really going to line up? And then Derek's like, it's right there. I was like, man, this is a really nice spot, because you got the farmer's market literally next door. And then you also have Biker Bar was right around the corner, wasn't it? It was like a door down.
They're still over there. They're on the other side of Delvin, so we're nestled right next to Bidwell Park, which does host the farmer markets on Saturdays. It's also the only adult-oriented park system in the entire city. No playground, and it's really at the center of the city as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
So did you fall into this location, or did you actively search this spot out?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
I'll fast forward through some of the not so exciting parts, but I had taken a quick trip across the country in the middle of last year during what everybody experienced, and wanted to change up what I was doing. And this location was just about to open up. One of my business partners who owned the bar and restaurant next door, Breezy Burrito Bar.
Oh, yeah.
It's the same building. Different storefront, okay, but the same building.
Sure.
So the same building owner, and they're friendly with them, and they knew that this was going to open. And ultimately, we had immediately started conversations about what would we do if we got the space. We started investigating different models, what we wanted to do, and before it even had a chance to go on the market, we had an option contract signed, so we had time to negotiate a lease.
That's amazing.
That is sweet.
And this location really is prime for a multitude of reasons. Not just it's connected to my friend's business, but on the other side are my other friend's business, Jackrabbit. So the boys and girls over there. I've literally been all around the world with both of them, to Spain, to Japan, to Africa. So it seemed an opportunity open to own a business in front of two of my best friends.
What a dream, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't say no to that. No. So how many total, you said you're a partner, so how many total business?
So there are 5 of us.
5, okay. And you're all, like, what's your relationship? All childhood friends, or is it all professional?
Some of them are childhood friends. Most of us met each other through the hospitality industry here in Buffalo.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So I know that you said that you wanted to gloss over some of the long parts, but we have to talk about it because your bike ride is monumental, man.
We'll talk about the bike ride. How's that?
It was fun. Riding bikes are fun. I didn't ride a lot of bicycles in my youth from here to there, but nothing significant, maybe like 10 miles on a bike path in the suburbs. But opportunity came about when the world experienced the pandemic that I could fly across the country, buy a bicycle, and ride back from the West Coast here to Buffalo because there was nothing going on.
Exactly.
My job was stalled because there were no events, there was no production. So I said, let's go.
So where did you fly into?
We flew from Buffalo to Portland, Oregon, and we bought bicycles, we bought tents, we bought everything. We had never cycled before long distance. The farthest any of us had rode were like 10 miles. So we're not cyclists, but we decided we wanted to do this.
That is so fascinating because I would have zero idea where to even start. Like, did you plan out a bike route from here to there? Or did you just say, we're just going to take roads and see where it takes us?
A little bit of both. You know, we did it on a day-by-day basis, so we planned a route that day. Sometimes roads were closed. Even on the first day, we experienced some major closures that forced us onto a highway in the rain. Day 1. So we busted out our lightweight rain gear.
Day one.
We left Portland, Oregon. We went to a seaside trail that they closed because too many people were going to use that recreational state area, and they didn't like that because it was, first lockdown. So we had to double back, get on the highway without being seen because they'd pull you over your bicycle. Don't get on the highway.
Right.
And then we did about 30 miles on the highway and eventually snuck back into that recreational area to stealth camp under a pavilion.
That is wild.
So you guys went, Derek and I have discussed camping quite a few times because it's one of my pastimes to just get away from the world and not hear a generator. So when you were planning weight specifically, why did you go tent opposed to hammock? And then
hammock's not necessarily practical. There's not always stuff, especially when you get into the high desert. We spent over 1,000 miles in the high desert, which is a lot of Oregon, a lot of Idaho,
yeah,
some of Wyoming, and even more so when you get into the Dakotas. There's nothing.
How high was your tent then?
It was a small tent. It's very lightweight. It weighed less than 2 pounds.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Oh, yeah.
And I shared a tent with a buddy of mine, Josh, who owns Jackrabbit. So it was me, Josh, and Jake, who own Jackrabbit. And then my now business partner, Dan, joined us for a little bit of the leg trip too. So we all had a good time of it. Overall, it was 3,125 miles, and it took us 68 days, including about 12 days of rest / entertainment. We would sleep under the stars, no tent. We would sleep in tents. We'd sleep under bridges. Sometimes, maybe 5 times, we got a hotel motel because we wanted to really relax and take a hot shower.
Yeah.
We used this app called Warm Showers, which is basically a couch surfing app, but specifically for cyclists. So just random people would take you in. They would let us sleep in their tree houses, outdoor teepees, guest bedrooms sometimes. And we met a lot of cool people. The people have since came to visit us here in Buffalo a year later that we're now long distance friends with.
That's
They're
amazing.
They have 50 years on us, but they still came, and it was really nice.
Yeah, that's super nice.
It's so sweet.
So what were you using if you weren't just baby wipes?
Oh yeah, you carry baby wipes on you. You carry the absolute necessities. But there was, I think, a period where I didn't shower for 7 days.
Yeah.
It's not that bad.
No, it's not that bad. I already know if you and I did that, we would just look at each other and be like, hey man, you smell. And then we just keep
Yeah,
pedaling.
You can't smell your own smell.
Correct,
You
but
can
other
barely
people can smell you.
Not if you're all awful.
That's true. That's very true.
It's tough. I mean, yes, but there's definitely a line that once you cross it, you're indifferent. Especially if you're spending 7 days a week sleeping next to these people.
And then you don't realize how bad it is until you get around someone that's civilized at that point, and they're just like, my God, like what happened to you?
We would roll into podunk towns and nowhereville.com, and people would give us dirty looks, or they would comment on
Hygiene.
But for the most part, everyone was incredibly receptive. Everyone wanted to hear our story, where I was going. You would run into a lot of travelers, cyclists. It's a huge community, and that I was completely oblivious to until I took this trip. And afterwards, you better believe I do it as much as I can.
So what was a recovery? Like just rest?
Yeah. So you would make camp.
No. After you're in Buffalo.
No recovery.
No.
No. No recovery.
What?
No.
That's wild. I would be sore for years.
You'd think so, but it was really the first 2 weeks. You show up, my body was not conditioned, right? I had done a lot of nothing for a while. Now I ran, I worked out, but I'm not super fit. I'm not jacked. So the first couple of days we did 40 miles. After 40 miles, we're like, oh, we got to take 2 days off. So we took 2 days off. We rolled out our muscles. We stretched. We drank way too much alcohol. And then the third day we woke up super hungover, got on our bikes, and just did it. Exercising is the best way to get rid of a hangover.
Oh, yeah.
Of those 68 days, we probably had hangovers 60 of them.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
But within 10 minutes, it's gone. We were burning, and we had metric calculators and trackers on all of our equipment, so we were burning about 6,000 calories a day.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I would wake up and I would eat as much as I could, and you want to eat the right stuff. So
Yeah.
I would carry broccoli we had dry bags for everything. One of our dry bags is food, and you want to carry non-perishables. So I discovered very quickly that broccoli, it takes 5 days to go bad without a refrigerator. Because I would eat it just raw. You don't need to cook it. It's delicious.
Yeah.
And on day 6, I wasn't willing to.
Was it soft or something?
It got a little soft, but it also had developed this like film on it that it didn't have the previous day, so I just hucked it.
So did you guys have like a mile requirement you wanted to hit a day, or was it
We
more
had
just like, what can we do? Okay.
Yeah, we had targets. If it got dark or unsafe or we were exasperated, we would make camp. But some days we're like, oh, we got another 20 miles to go to get to this place that we have a residence that's willing to put us up.
Mm-hmm.
We got to finish the miles. And
That's true.
We'd finish it, and we'd be running over rattlesnakes and stuff and like putting our feet up. And this is the middle of Wyoming. There was a lot of dangerous stuff, fun stuff, a lot of stuff I probably shouldn't talk about. But it was a really good time, and I would recommend to anybody who is even considering it to do it. It's going to be difficult, and then it's just not going to be.
Sure.
What started off 40 miles used to be difficult on day one. At the end of it, we were doing 120 miles a day.
Yeah,
and
well,
not breaking a sweat.
I'm sure it's the same with like running. Like you talk about it because I clearly don't run, but like you get to a point in your running, like your trip, that you just black out, basically, for lack of a better term, and you just are going. Did you hit that probably a couple days in where you're just like, it's whatever now, we just got to get home?
Yeah, not. It was more so the excitement of being out there.
Okay.
It was every day you woke up and you didn't have any idea. You didn't know who you were going to see, what were you going to do, what experience you were going to have. I can't think of one time in my day-to-day life normally where I'd ever have that. So just being able to say I'm venturing off into the unknown was the ultimate excitement.
And it's really cool because you, to your point of like not knowing anything, your attitude changes to only positive because you're out there. Like, we're here. So what are we going to do? We can't pout. We're out here.
You're in the middle of nowhere.
Exactly. It's like we just got to keep pedaling, man.
Yeah. And I think we had headwind every day. It felt like we did. The Rockies definitely. But everything comes back. We would strap. We didn't drink a ton of beer unless we were in a town.
Sure.
But if we were camping in the middle of nowhere, which was over half the time, we would strap a bag of wine or a bottle of liquor to the back of our bikes because beer's heavy. So we would go for the lightweight stuff. We would find hot springs and take a soak in the middle of Idaho. West Rose Hot Springs at mile marker 184 and a quarter on Route 22. Check it out. It's the best.
I love that.
Did you try to hit any landmarks or anything, or were you just following a path to go?
No, it was it's pretty wavy.
Sure.
We decided, we wanted to have a good time. This wasn't just hurry up and get home.
Yeah.
If we were close to something fun, we rode our bikes up Mount Rushmore.
Oh, sweet.
We probably could have taken a car up there, but fuck it.
Yeah,
you
you've been on a bike for the past 14 days, so you might as well.
Yeah, I was in South Dakota in the Black Hills. Gorgeous. I didn't even know they existed until we were riding through them. It was just unbelievable territory. By the point 3 weeks in, once we hit the Rockies, our bodies were fine.
What was the worst part of the trip? Was there a certain state that was terrible?
Two-part answer. Worst part of the trip was coming home, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, because it's kind of like that, you just get back from vacation, now what?
Yeah.
Even though it was very exciting. Worst state award definitely goes to Michigan. Bad people.
Yeah.
We didn't have any problems with police officers or any local enforcement or any community. Michigan was very unsavory. Potholes everywhere, terrible infrastructure.
Interesting.
Yeah, the coastal line was gorgeous.
Yeah.
But everything else, we rode the coast for 10 miles and then came across the state to go into Ohio, and it was just very drab.
Sure. So you said that when you were on this trip, that's kind of when this self-actualization of leaving or trying to figure out if there's something else to do for your professional life, right?
Yeah.
So what was that thought process like? How did you come to that conclusion? And obviously we know the result of that.
It wasn't so much a thought process as something that I felt like needed to happen. You hit a point where you feel like I wouldn't want to say peak, but you want change. Change is natural, it's inevitable, and it should be embraced. Once you fight against it, there's all parts of your body, your mind, and the world starts telling you stop fighting against it. So this was just a really big catalyst to show me that I was fighting against that change and to embrace it. So came back, started having conversations, started exercising a few options to little effect, and then the universe provided an opportunity that was just too good with too many factors in it that I couldn't ignore it.
Sure.
So here we are.
So
that was big, man.
Yeah, I love that. So if anybody watched your interview before, you were with Lockhouse, you're in the distilling industry. You switched over to the beer industry. What did you know about beer coming into this?
I actually got my origins in beer.
Okay.
English major, literature minor at Buff State. Someone bought me a homebrew kit in my senior year, a little shitty plastic Mr. Beer. You can get them for $30. They're awful, make bad beer, and they're really not brewing. But it snowballed. I went to grad school in Canada for brewmaster and brewery operations management. Came back to Buffalo, worked at Flying Bison, moved to Saratoga Springs and ran a brewery there for about 2 years. And had the opportunity to then come home to Buffalo and join Lockhouse on this 2013 or 14. So I came back home, and then that was really my transition from beer into spirits. And this is more of I wouldn't say it's a transition back from spirits to beer. It's more of a transition from distilled spirits to the broader craft consumer culture.
Okay.
Because while beer is our namesake, the Beer Keep, we do offer a plethora of all beverage options. We have over 200 different beers, not just locals, but everything that you can't find that people look for on the secondary market, we go out of our way to find. We have an Impressor seltzer program. We have an all-natural wine program, so buy the glass or buy the bottle. We have cider, mead, and a pretty wide non-alcoholic beverage package because we want to be very inclusive to all of our guests. And honestly, there's not only is it more and more acceptable to not drink alcohol, but it's pretty dang good. I don't know if any of you ever tried it.
Yeah, that's true. We're starting to get more acclimated with the non-alcoholic side of things, and it's impressive how good some of the non-alcoholic options are, and that's really cool.
It's not just all about like NA beer. Like we carry 18 different NA options. 2 of them are beer.
Really?
Because let's be real.
Yeah.
No one wants to drink an NA beer. I mean, some people do, and we have, but it's all the fun stuff. So we have like really craft sodas that are like one-offs that you normally see beer producers making, like a key lime pie soda. That I'd love to try that in a flavor. So we brought it in: seltzer, sparkling waters, coffee products, a 99-cent can Arizona iced teas, inflation-proof.
Inflation-proof.
They've been 99
Yeah, what's
cents.
going on? How do they do that?
They keep, well, the cost of goods got to be tiny. They also probably own all of the trucks that deliver them.
It's true.
Fair.
So it was more of a transition into this craft, the broader craft consumer culture, other than spirits and cocktails.
Sure. Yeah.
So they're definitely these beverages, beer, wine, cider, seltzer. They're a little bit more approachable from a consumer perspective. There's no educational price tag. You can pop the top, take a sip, and make your own opinions, assertions, conjecture. With distilled spirits, not a lot of people are going to pop the top and take a sip. I mean, I will, you will, and probably a significant number of your listeners will, but there's a utility component. You have to know how to use it, mix it. So if you don't know how to use it and mix it, there's already a barrier to entry. Where beer, wine, cider, and seltzer, there's zero barrier.
Sure. Are you still a part of the New York State Distillers Guild?
I am not.
Okay.
In advance of making this transition, I resigned as president of the Distillers Guild and left it to my colleagues that were very excited to take that on. I had been for 6 years, so it seemed like the appropriate thing to do regardless of this transition.
Absolutely.
Fresh eyes and fresh faces are good. I don't necessarily want to be turned into the old guard at any point in my life. That sounds exhausting.
Yeah. Is there a similar organization for beer or anything like that?
Yeah, significantly. It's actually much more robust and dynamic. The New York State Brewers Association is a statewide trade association that supports, markets, and benefits all of its members, associates, and the larger brewing community in New York. That being said, we are not a brewery. We are a retailer here in New York that supports New York breweries. So we're planning on joining as an associate member, but because of their bylaws, I don't think it's something that I'd be actively able to participate in from a leadership standpoint.
Makes sense.
Damn, dude. So I'm obsessed with, like, I have to word this correctly so it's not super weird, but I'm obsessed with your posts and like how you showcase the things that you choose to showcase on social media, and one of which was the entire renovation for this space. Obviously, there was a hold your breath, what is Corey doing, that kind of like shook the industries per se, because you were like...
That's a little bit grandiose, but I really appreciate
no,
that.
it's I guess, but it's the truth. And a lot of people were just like, what is Corey going to do? And then you ended up finally announcing that this is what was going to happen. And then it was kind of like, did you hear the news? And then everyone got on the same page. The news was broke. And then we're like, okay, how does this whole thing work? And then the next photo is you just like constructing bars and painting and wearing clothes that are just full of construction.
A lot of painting, a lot of huff and paint.
So let's discuss that, because you literally lived here during that whole phase.
Oh yeah, myself, my business partners, we did the demo. We participated in the build out. I mean, we hired a general contractor team, but we were in here painting, sanding, digging, removing formaldehyde, breathing it in, all that.
What was it before?
Nobody knows.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Good question.
Not even the city records.
Really?
No, they know.
Oh, okay.
That's my answer
Jesus.
to people, because
Right.
I think it's such an immemorable business that it wasn't worth mentioning. But this used to be Ashker's Juice Bar, and before that, and this is going back to like 2005 or 7, it was a chiropractics or massage parlor, and then going back into the 90s it was a dance studio, and apparently going back into the 70s my dad and his sisters used to get their hairs cut here, and it was a salon.
Wow, that's fascinating.
That's kind of cool.
So what did you have to, you mentioned digging. What was the digging
We
component?
tore up the floor, so this is a brand new floor, both sides. It's a 2 storefront operation, same business, just 2 different doors, 2 different spaces. We tore up the floors, we tore some walls out, we redid one of the ceilings. Pretty much everything you see in this space is us.
What about
there was a-
permitting?
We got the right permits.
So,
You wanna
like,
see
is
my
there?
credentials?
No, because I know there's other businesses in the
What
city.
a great answer.
So
What is
there's
my purpose?
there's bars in certain spaces because you can't travel with your beverage from bar to bar, even though it's the same place, like Labatt House, which
Oh, that's different. That's different.
Yeah, so do you have
those
that
are
issue
two
here?
Different businesses. So Labatt
Okay.
House, there is
like the brewery section.
the brewery's a licensed manufacturer brewery.
Yeah.
And they have that little private room that is an offshoot or a tasting bar, which is legally intrinsic to their licensing level. So you can't travel from that bar to the outside bar, obviously. Where everything else in that area is the restaurant bar. So it's a whole different business. So what that is I believe they have a concessionaires permit. Don't quote me on this, but that allows one licensed business to operate inside another licensed business, where this is just one business. So we do have two bars, 2 points of sale. One is your traditional interaction with the bartender. You point at something, yell really loud, and they hand you a delicious substance. The other one is more of a self-serve station. So you walk up to our trophy case coolers, grab from one of 200 plus beers, ciders, seltzers, and then take it up to the bar. Start a tab, sit down, or you can also build yourself a 4-pack, 6-pack, 20-pack, 30 rack, and take it to go.
So you can go from side to side, and it's okay.
You can go into the bathrooms with it. We have a 22-person seating outdoor front patio with a installed front lawn.
Yeah, I noticed that. There's some turf there.
Yeah, it's Turf Town.
Town.
We wanted to have a little fun, and it's Elmwood, so we want to make some noise. A lot of what we're doing is not just trying to be gaudy and trying to be fun, but a lot of beer places in particular can get a little bit hung up on themselves and hung up on the whole craft nature of it. And we want to really put out there, not just in content, but in visibility, that we don't take ourselves too seriously, that we want to put the fun back in drinking. Beer is supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
And sometimes people lose sight of that. So we went out and we got a $700 AstroTurf for our patio. We went out and bought 7 different ridiculously huge chandeliers that are all different, and one of them needs cleaning.
It's fine.
And yeah, just loud colors, fun colors. And so the pews that are also on our front patio are from a 1920 Presbyterian church in Bath, New York.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just all an effort to really normalize and humanize the business and beer, because a lot of places get very pretentious.
Sure.
So like the only dress code our staff has is don't be pretentious. No button-ups, no puffy pirate shirts like in Seinfeld, nothing. We wanted to keep it as approachable as possible.
Sure, absolutely, that makes sense. So you have the wall behind us, which is custom. You have a whole like mural going to the bathrooms down there, right? Who did you hire somebody to do all that stuff?
Yeah, so there's a lot in this space that was custom. There's a lot that we did. There's a lot little freelance. The bulk of the work was done. We aligned with a branding and design agency, White Bicycle. They're a local brand forward agency, Grammy Award winning for album art they design.
For who? That's awesome.
Yes. The answer is
Yeah,
yes.
sorry, I didn't
Yes.
mean to put you on the
Yes,
spot
it
there,
is
but that's pretty cool.
If anyone wants to find out, White Bicycle is located on Ellicott Street. They're over the old Washington Market, I want to say. They're fantastic and they're great guys and girls, but I never met them. So they did the big mural. They worked in concert with us about what our theme was, what we really wanted to execute. So the overall brand and the images that are the core images of the brand is pretty much an archway, and in that archway is a can opening and the spray coming out. And that really goes back to, we wanted to have something that was very common, but also special. We wanted to have something that was approachable, but also meant something to so many people. And we knew we were going to carry a lot of cans. We have a trophy case cooler behind our bar that has over 300 different bottles and cans in it. And so we wanted to feature can heavy, even though we do have a delicious draft system with specialty knobs and pulls. And we kept going back to what's the one thing everybody looks forward to about beer, and it's opening it. It's that first crack. It's unmistakable noise. It's an unmistakable moment, and after that moment, everything just, you got like 4 or 5 seconds where nothing else matters.
Yeah, and it's confusing when somebody opens like a carbonated water and it's like, are you having a beer already? It's like 9 o'clock in the morning because it's that same sound.
Yeah, it's a great sound. It's very distinct.
Yeah.
Unmistakable. So so everything's kind of based off that, and then it all, shit rolls downhill. So
that's cool. So we have to talk about your taps.
Yeah, so speaking on that whole system, you're the first in Buffalo, so let's kind of dive into that whole realm.
So we have 10 taps, 2 of which are very special in that they are side pulls or side pour taps. They're a specific faucet for draft beer that is origins were Czechoslovakian or Czech-style Pils lagers, which are brewed to be a little bit more bitter and a little bit more proteinaceous than your typical lagers, and that's in support of their pouring method. Your typical draft faucet is a plunger style, on, off. We've all seen them. They get tap handles that go on. These ones are side pull, so you literally pull the mechanism from side to side, and that opens up a ball valve that allows either 0 or 100% of the beer to come through. And then further, you have a throttle valve that allows that 0 or 100% beer to come through at a rate of slow to fast. And you can change both of them, and depending on their orientation, get a whole different experience. So what this does is it creates a head on the beer that is much more finer and much more complex in its protein matrix, which is what holds beer head together. And so much so that it's very stable, like a macchiato foam or a cappuccino foam. We tried it earlier. If you poured a beer with this side pour head and you just left it sit on the table, it would be fine for 5 minutes without even losing a bubble. As opposed to you pour a beer off a normal draft system, within 20 seconds the head is gone. Which is fine, there's nothing wrong with that, but this particular beer is meant, it's a lager, it's delicious. Everybody starts their beer drinking journey in lagers, typically domestics, macro, that's for me. And then if you get into craft, you go from pale ales to IPAs to sours to barrel-aged beers to stouts to browns to everything weird in between, going all the way to Belgians and lambics and double decoctions. If you really want to get weird with it, which I'm sure some of you do, and you know where you find yourself right back at lagers. that was my story 13 years in the making, and if you talk to most brewers, it's exactly the same, and most of them don't take 13 years. So we wanted to really put forth that lagers are the champions, and it doesn't mean domestics. It means you can consume a product in a fun, different environment while still maintaining quality. So we serve Von Trapp Czech-style Pilsner on one of our side pulls because it's a Czechoslovakian style lager that is dang good. And we do have a second one. We don't put the same style beer on there because we use it to showcase other lagers that are fun, interesting, that nobody in this city has ever tried in that format before. So we just kicked Oktoberfest, so that was much more maltier and darker. So drinking the head and the foam off of that was very interesting. It was almost like sipping a chai latte.
That's fascinating.
It's a whole different profile.
I want to clarify though, if you pour your beer incorrectly from a regular on-off tap and you got a lot of head, it's not the same as what you're talking about.
Incredibly different. No.
Okay.
It's
someone's sipping their head right now. They're like, I don't like this.
No. So this style faucet is designed to, you could think of it like a naturally carbonated wine. Naturally carbonated anything has finer bubbles. It's supposed to be more effervescent, more as opposed to artificially carbonated where there's bigger bubbles, and it's just not the same mouthfeel. So this denotes mostly texture and mouthfeel, but also a head that lasts longer, so that if you don't take a sip for 5 minutes, the beer, it's not oxidizing, it's not going flat. All those compounds, the esters, the phenols, the flavonoids that are emulating from the top of your beer upward because of the carbonation, they're not just flying out into the atmosphere, they're staying encapsulated in your glass, so it protects the beer should you want to wait 10 minutes, 5 minutes. If you wanted to do a milk pour, which is a fun word to say, especially when you don't know what it means, which is instead of 90% beer, 10% head, it's 10% beer, 90% head. you could do that same thing. You could wait half an hour, and you would probably still have some semblance of foam. That would probably be the uppermost limits, but that's what it was for. People who would casually drink one beer, but still want to socialize in that environment and not put back 20 and get hammered. They could just casually sip on one beer without worrying about my beer is getting warm, my beer is getting flat, my beer tastes like cardboard, or my beer tastes like Kicks. Even though it doesn't cut the roof of your mouth.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's like, it's the way to drink beer if you're a whiskey lover, basically. Because it's really the only true way to drink beer socially to not get absolutely annihilated.
Yeah, I mean, don't
And
get me
still
wrong.
enjoy
We
it.
have everything in between. I've got 11% AAA, a 19.2 ounce can of an 11% triple IPA out of Iowa over there. It's not for me. I like it. Knee Deep is the brewing, and but it's not a lager. Fun note though, during the build out, I lost a bet.
Okay.
I don't remember what it was, but I wagered that I had to chug a triple IPA. So that
God.
19.25 ounce can, when we first opened, we got it in. That was the first one to try it from bow to stern. I had to get it out of
How did you
How'd it
feel
feel?
after?
It was awful.
God, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, but you know,
Were you rocked?
I ate a big meal right after, so fortunately I was fine.
Okay.
But I wish I could say I did it in one gulp or even one take, but I had to take a moment in between.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. That's like drinking an entire landscaping bush. So
Well, that
speaking,
and it's 19 ounces. You had to chug the whole thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, 19 ounces. You can't even do that with water and not feel gross.
Yeah, right.
Can you imagine a triple IPA?
So speaking of having a big meal afterwards, do you have food here?
Yeah, we do. We
You
actually
have
have
to,
a-
right? By like law?
So yeah, you have to have food, but it doesn't. The law is very vague, so we could
Okay.
just as easily have crackers on the bar, and that suffices.
Okay.
Or like a microwave burrito in the kitchen. There's businesses around the Western New York area that are combo spots like us, where they're both to go and for here, and they just usually air fry some tots up and slap it on a plate and say God bless. But we, being on Elmwood and being so focused on a community-driven space, we wanted to put our best foot forward with our food program. It is a tiny, tiny kitchen. So we reached out to a good friend of mine, Will Peterson, to be our chef. He's formerly of Lake Crew, the old, what is now Mr. Sizzles. He's worked at the Grange, Black Sheep. He came up with Gedra and Steve Gedra at Black Sheep and a couple other notable chefs, and he designed a menu for us with our input that is perfect. We offer a very hometown menu, familiar favorites and forgotten memories, from beef sliders and hot dogs to chicken nuggets and building up all the way to garbage plates.
Oh, wow.
Cool.
And every item on our menu also has a vegan counterpart. So, because we want to be very inclusive in our community, and it doesn't take a ton of more effort to go vegan. So we have hot dog, vegan hot dog, garbage plate, vegan garbage plate, and especially in this community, in this culture, in this day and age, being able to promote and say the words vegan garbage plate is awesome. Actually, this Thursday, what is going to be November 4th, we have our first vegan community night, which is just a network night for people in that community to get together, talk about all things veganism, and smell their farts and all.
Do you have vegan beer? Is that a thing?
We're going down a little bit of a nerdy path, but I'll give
like
it
it,
to
though.
you.
Go for it.
Yes, we have vegan beer, but most days beer isn't vegan. So what is commonly used is a substance called isinglass. It is a negatively charged ionic compound that helps pull suspended yeast and yeast particles and proteinaceous material in beer that is still present. Fermentation finishes, it's all lingering. So they add this isinglass, which is naturally derived from fish bladder, which makes it non-vegan, and it takes it's a negatively charged ion, and it pulls all of these particulates, because they're positively charged, to the bottom. So most beer has that. This beer has that. So it's not vegan.
I did not know that.
See, Agent 186, I'm telling you, there's a reason.
Fish bladder. It's delicious.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, it is. That's really cool.
It's used in a lot of different industries, including the water industry. So even like certain waters, Poland Springs, I think, used to use it.
Are there any known substitutes for that?
Yeah, you can use a lot of things. Eggshells. Eggshells, under the right temperature, are negatively charged ions. You can use...
But even that wouldn't be vegan, right?
Yeah, but, like, who cares? Dude.
Correct.
He's like, that's not the original question.
Gelatin. Gelatin's the same thing. I know that that's also not vegan. That's besides the point. But there's a lot of vegan options. There's sodium benzenate. There's a couple other synthetic compounds, but they're not as cheap. They're not as readily available.
Right.
And they definitely didn't get their industrial commercialization that one did. Like, you can go down to this, you can get it like the homebrew shop down on Sheridan.
Right.
Wow, that's awesome. So I kind of want to talk a little bit more about this system that you have up there with your drafts. So you said that you don't really drive home the point that you do drafts because you're more of like a can place. But there's no one else in Buffalo that has that system, right?
No, we're the first and only in Buffalo, as far as I'm aware. Feel free to correct me. We've gone out of our way to make sure that claim is substantial. Mm-hmm. But we really came to the realization that we needed to bring these draft styles, these Lucre faucets or these side pull faucets, Lucre's the manufacturer, to Western New York, because during the run-up to opening this business, the discovery phase, before we really even signed the lease, we went to 122 different businesses around the whole state. Beer businesses, bars, breweries, bottle shops, combo spots that were both bottle shops and bars, similar to ourselves. We asked them questions. What did you like doing? What did you do differently? What were your successes? What were your failures? How is your pricing structure? What type of events you hold, so we can learn from the mistakes and really start to build the biggest, best, most efficient model here for ourselves. And there's two things that we noticed. One, these side pull faucets that Buffalo needed, and they were in most major cities we had went to. And two, nobody really tries too hard. They find their niche and they just say, oh, here I go. So we're going above and beyond to not only make sure that we always have the freshest, the newest, the funnest styles and beers available, not just from the local community, but especially from everywhere else. But we want to create a space, not only give people the choices, but a space with which to choose from them. Somewhere they feel comfortable, somewhere that they don't feel rushed, somewhere that they, instead of wanting a 16-ounce pint, they can get a 5 ounce of whatever they want. So half beers. Half beers are huge in most cities. Buffalo doesn't do half beers. I love half beers. I can drink 10 half beers of 10 different beers, as opposed to drinking 5 of the same.
Yeah.
True.
But those are different than flights, obviously, right?
They can be.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have one half beer, it's a half beer. If you have 10 half beers on a paddle, it's a flight.
True.
It just depends, I guess, at the volume.
Yeah.
You can get them all at once. We do offer flights here, but you can also get them one at a time, and then they're even better.
It's true. I mean, a lot of people from out of state that visit Buffalo, they all say that. It's like the portions are insane. Like, the food's incredible, the beer and the spirits are awesome, but there's like one size.
Yeah, one size. And if you don't fill it all the way up to the top, they're like,
yeah, it's like, what are you doing?
yo, give me that extra ounce. What do you do?
Right.
Cheat me. And that's a very Buffalo thing. Like, you're supposed to have head on a beer. It's part of the drinking, not only culture in them, it's an actual developed mechanism over the last couple hundred years that creates a quality experience. But in Buffalo, if it's not spilling on you, you got cheated. It's weird.
We just like what we like, man.
Yeah, for some reason, that is such like a... Everybody thinks that head is bad on beer. And where does that come from? Just the fact that the perception is you're not getting as much actual liquid?
I'm sure that plays into it. Certain head, if you try and drink head, from your typical beer faucet, it can get a little chewy. It's not something that just goes down. It doesn't flow through your mouth. It can get stuck in corners, and then you're left like swishing it about.
True.
It's not a best positively drinking experience if you end up with a lot in your mouth. But It's probably mostly that people want every little drop, and they probably learned that during their collegiate years. I know I did.
I love that.
Probably. So what was you studied beer, you worked in breweries, and then you came into the distilling industry and now into more of the, obviously this isn't a brewery, but this is a beer place. So was there a learning curve to learn this side of brewing at all, or were you pretty acclimated with that from your previous jobs?
I was pretty acclimated with this. I mean, it's still a bar. It's still a restaurant. It's still, I was going into them every day, preaching the good word of Lockhouse and slinging my sauce. That being said, I still drink a lot of beer. And it's a small community here in Buffalo, so whether you was a brewer or distiller, everybody coalesced. So I know the brewers. We all know each other. We did events with them. I was pouring samples next to them at tasting events. So those relationships maintained. So there was really no difference. There was a lot of stuff that was new to me that I had to onboard myself with. There's a lot of new trends and fads and even mechanisms and branding that I'm still learning to this day. I don't think I'll ever probably catch up. It's kind of like, God, it's like social media and technology. You know, once you hit 30, it doesn't matter how much you try. There's a 10-year-old that knows more than you.
Things definitely slow down.
Oh yeah. I got a 10-year-old niece, and she's doing laps on me on her iPad. And I'm like, I didn't know it does that.
Right. So speaking of technology and social media, where are you on your business?
Oh, you can find The Beer Keep at The Beer Keep on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. We don't have anything else. We have a website. It's also thebeerkeep.com.
Oh, come on. It makes sense because it's professional, but I was really hoping for some remnants of broccoli, just like a little picture of it somewhere, maybe pineapple somewhere.
Yeah, broccoli, we'll see. There might be something in the works.
That's what I'm talking about.
Who knows? I definitely got a tattoo coming of broccoli. I got a whole produce sleeve. They're laughing, but it's true.
The story that you had about the pineapple boat made our life. When you just destroyed that whole quarter of pineapple without even taking out the core or something.
It was
right?
a garnish.
Yeah.
It was a garnish at the 500 Pearl live event, and we were working with you, and you're like, I'll jump on real quick.
I forgot about that event.
And they literally sliced a pineapple in half as a garnish piece for their charcuterie spread, and you're just gnawing away at this massive piece of pineapple.
That had to be very noisy for you.
No, it was fine for us. We were loving it, but the waitress was like, sir, that's a garnish, and you're like, but it's pineapple. I'll never forget that.
So funny.
Yeah, I'm the weird guy. I don't care. You know how they put the lettuce under the thing?
Yeah.
I'll eat the lettuce. or the shredded cucumber or whatever the hell it is. I don't know. Sometimes it looks plastic. I'll still eat it.
Yeah, you'll figure it out.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's fine.
So what's next for you? What's next for Beer Keep? Anything in mind, or just kind of going through the motions?
Oh, anything but.
Love it.
I don't think that life is just one series of stepping stones that takes you from one to the next. And if it is, I hope to be fascinated and enthralled by the shape of that stone. And this is no different. So we got a lot of big plans for our community, for our business, and for our immediate neighborhood. Being that 3 groups of people that are very friendly and have been on international vacations with each other own 3 hospitality businesses in a row in Buffalo's most influential and culturally significant district, you could imagine that we got some big stuff planned. So 2021 is really just about getting started, getting integrated, and making ourselves known and having a presence. 2022 is the real year where we pop off a lot of programming, a lot of events that are not just in-house fun stuff. We do a lot of canned drops. We do a lot of music. We do a pancake breakfast that we're going to be starting soon. But next year's the real year for a lot of fun stuff.
Love that.
We're definitely we got about 7 or 8 real ones with about 15 bad ideas that got pushed to the side for those 7 to 8 real ones. I'll tell you, we are definitely going to be doing a hot dog eating competition at some point.
That's so ridiculous.
It's going to be obnoxious.
I love it.
There'll be a Gen Pop round. There'll be a vegan Gen Pop round because we want to be super inclusive. And also, they're delicious. You can't taste the difference. I dare you to come down here and tell me you won't. And then we're going to do a Buffalo celebrity round. So, come watch the usual suspects. Rob Ray choke down 15 glizzies. See if he can do it.
Hell yeah.
I like that.
This is so cool, man. I love it. I love what you do. Every business that you're in, it just seems to be amazing. Like, you're just a good business person.
Oh, that is probably one of the nicest and most inaccurate things anyone's ever said to me. But I hope one day that I could live up to that. That is great.
I think that you just are very passionate about everything that you do, and your work always shows like on your sleeve. Like, that's just who you are as a person.
He's not comfortable. He's chugging his beer. He's not comfortable.
But like, you walk into this
Yours
place
is
and you know
gone.
that this is a Corey place. Like, that's just who you are.
Correct.
That's very sweet. Well, I'm glad you guys feel comfortable in our space, and I'm looking forward to drinking a lot more beer and interacting with you in here. We have some fun stuff in mind that I think would be Buffalo Happy Hour would be a great fit for.
Sure.
Not just in a traditional interview/interaction type of format like we're doing right now,
Yeah.
but above and beyond, like interacting and bringing in a social and general public component, kind of like we did at that 500 Pearl event.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
But outside of the purviews of the professional people joining in, and just like, let's get Bob from North Buffalo to come in and be like, hey Bob, what'd you think about the space? Tell me one thing you didn't like. And he'll be like, oh, the toilet seat was too cold. Or something like that. I don't know. Could be fun. People want to hear from Bob.
Yeah, absolutely.
They do. That's true. But there's a lot of things that we can finagle, especially now. So equipment dictates work, and
of
our
course.
equipment has been upgraded. So we're more flexible with what we can do.
Yeah, these are heavy. These are heavy duty.
Yeah, they're not falling
Joe
over.
Rogan's got like 4 of these.
Well, fun fact, we have 4.
Oh, there you go. See, copycats.
Yeah, they're
Just
nice
kidding.
because they
Just
don't
kidding.
fall over.
You guys take horse tranquilizers too?
Yeah, a little bit.
We don't.
All right. Probably
Haven't had the need. Yeah, haven't had the need. But thank you so much, man.
One thing that we didn't talk about that you wanted to touch on?
Probably.
What are your hours?
Oh,
Yeah, true.
we're
Good
actually
point.
open here 7 days a week. We started at 6, a little ambitious, but very quickly realized that the community likes beer. Weird, I know. Who'd have thought?
Yeah, the whole Buffalo thing.
So we are open. When is this coming out? Probably like
Weeks from now.
3 weeks
from
yeah.
now. Okay. We are open 7 days a week from noon to 11 p.m. every day, other than Fridays and Saturdays, where we'll be open probably till 1 a.m.
Okay.
Good deal.
I like that.
Yeah, and then we touched on where people can find you on social media and also your website, and then you have merch available, you have beer available, wine and spirits available.
Yeah, beer,
And
wine,
food.
spirits, everything you could want other than shots, which
Good call on that.
it has a lot of benefit. Don't get me wrong, I miss it, but there's businesses to our left and to our right, and if that's something someone's craving, I totally understand, and I welcome them to patronize one of their businesses.
Yeah.
We're not trying to be everything to everybody. We have a very specific clientele. Beer.
Right.
It's not terribly specific, but it's specific. It's a little bit more voluminous. And if you like bathrooms, we have some fun bathrooms. One of them's got a graffiti mural of drinking babies. To be totally transparent, they're not babies; they're cherubs. So they're thousands of years old, and they're literally the servants of God. Give them a fucking beer. They're laughing because they haven't seen it, but you should totally go check it out.
We will.
Yeah,
Yeah, we will.
it's right next to Harambe.
Nice.
That's amazing. Well, I mean, rip to the boy, you know?
Oh, yeah,
You
well,
gotta show respect.
You have to, and also he's in there because Dick's out.
That's right. That's right. Ticked out for Harambe.
At this point, I'm assuming that most people have tuned out.
No. If anything, they tune back in.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, really.
You're like perfect.
I'm glad to hear that.
We'll wrap
That's
it up.
awesome. Well, Corey, thank you again for your time. We really appreciate it. We love this business, and you guys should too. So come down here, try some of their beer. They have literally anything that you would want. Honestly, you can find a beer here that would best suit you, and you have to try their tap too, because it's a whole different drinking experience. So thank you, Corey, for your time.
Cheers, gang.
Thanks, man.